grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. My name is Bradley Ball, and it's so good to have you with us. Last week, we kicked off our live show. We covered Azure Fast Track, how you can engage with us over at Microsoft. We had Buck Woody on. We held our first community roundtable. If you haven't seen those episodes, don't worry. Stay right there. The show is posted to YouTube, and you can go and view it at your convenience. If you want to interact with the show right now, we are streaming live on the Twitter account of Sequel Balls. That's me. Also on the Twitter account of Josh Ludeman. That's that way over there. That's Josh. Also, we're streaming on LinkedIn Live. That's under my account. So please go to any of those places. Also to our YouTube channel, where if you put in a comment, one of my great co-hosts here will view that comment and maybe throw it up on the screen. Don't forget, this week is the Data Platform Summit, and it's happening right now. Earlier this week, our good friends Bob Ward and Buck Woody delivered the keynote of opening the concert. And on Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Josh, our colleague Karthik Yella over in Fast Track, and myself have a Data Grunkle. And it's going to be on migrating to Azure and customer experiences and best practices and how we can recommend that. Next week is Data Saturday in Atlanta. What a lineup. Buck Woody will be there. Anna Hoffman will be there. So will Bob Ward, Matthew Roach, Matt Gordon, Joey D'Antoni, Amy Herold, who is here herself in the electrons, Alan Hurt, Patrick LeBlanc, Anthony Nocentino, Hope Foley, and more. Go to datasaturday.com if you're in the Atlanta area and sign up. Just when you thought it was safe to take a breath, this week is Data Saturday Dallas, and today is the deadline for you to sign up. What are you waiting for? Go to Data Saturday, go to Data Saturday Dallas. Go ahead and sign up. Our good friend of the show and colleague Daniel Tiller will be there presenting, as will Buck Woody, Bob Ward, Chris Hyde, Matt Gordon, Anthony Nocentino, Melody Zacharias, Kevin Fizell, Reed Merritt, Ryan Adams, and more. As if it couldn't get any better than that. Amy Herold, aka Texas Amy, one of the leaders of the Data Saturday user group and Data Saturday Dallas, is here to speak with us. Amy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome.
Yeah, like you said, Data Saturday Dallas is coming up this weekend. We're really excited, looking forward to finally having an in-person event once again. And we have a great speaker lineup. I think you listed off quite a few of our speakers. But Bob Ward and Buck Woody, we have them doing a full half-day session on SQL Server 2022.
That'll be the pre-con, right?
Kind of like not really a pre-con because it's that day. We've blocked out, a half day for them to just really go into, SQL Server 2022 and what all is going on there. So,
if they weren't able to attend the SQL 2022 Roadshow, they get a half day of SQL 2022 just by coming to Data Saturday Dallas.
Exactly. Yes.
How incredible. All right. We're going to get back to Amy in just a second. But of course, before we go any further, let me introduce my co-hosts. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist himself, Mr. Niraj Jafari. Andreas, it's our second week's kickoff, and you are the host. How you doing?
I'm loving it. I'm feeling spry. It's a good day. It's a good day. I'm in South Florida for all of you guys that didn't know that, but I'm feeling spry.
Spry is a good word. I was going to say, I'm an old man. I love stretching in the morning. Spry. I like it. Feeling spry.
It's getting a little weird, guys.
Just now, it's getting a little weird. but before then,
I feel like there was a line. I feel like it's behind us.
That's fair. Niraj, how are you feeling?
Doing good. How about you, Josh?
Feeling good.
That was awesome.
Ooh.
That's one hell of a weekend, Niraj.
Yeah,
I'm blown away. I am. Man. I don't have Andreas. I'm just going to throw it to you as the host because I got nothing.
Wow, Niraj. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough to follow that. As you guys know from our previous episodes, we got a topic for you, and there's winners at the end of this. At the end of the day. So, should I reveal the topic? Today's topic?
Well, and remember, you can't win twice.
Oh, that's right. You can't win twice. I won last week, so that leaves the ball open for Bradley, for the impeccable and incomparable Niraj, and then maybe Josh. So
I was gonna say, Luna's looking swole up there. He had the flex going and everything. You deflated him.
No, he'll come strong.
Josh lost about 5 pounds in ego off of that.
I was robbed again.
So I guess before we start the game, Amy, you've got so much going on. We've got Data Saturday. We've got that lineup. As someone who has helped organize before, I understand how difficult it is to be able to get these events going. Tell us about the event. Tell us about where it is, where it's located. And again, today's the deadline to sign up, right? People need to get on it.
Yeah, today is our deadline officially. We are having our event at the Las Colinas Microsoft office in the LC1 building. Same place we have our user group meetings. We've gone back to in-person meetings. So registration will start at 8 a.m. and our day should wrap up probably before 5 o'clock. We're doing a little bit of a shorter schedule, so decreasing the intensity a bit, but still we want to get everybody together in person and have a great event, have a great day of learning and training for everybody in the Dallas area and beyond if somebody wants to travel for our event. So we have a great speaker lineup. As I mentioned, Bob Ward and Buck Woody will be doing a full half day on SQL Server 2022. We have sessions on Synapse. I think there's a session involving something about Raspberry Pi. Just all the different technologies we're covering across our schedule.
I just want to interrupt and say I love pie, so I'm really
yeah, I'm a big fan of pie.
I know it's counterintuitive, but I think Josh should get points for the love of pie.
Give him a point.
That's up to you, buddy. You're in charge today.
I give him 1 point.
I've never had raspberry pie, but I'm open to new things, especially in the dessert category.
If you would have said huckleberry, 10 points, but you only said pie. So 1 point.
Very pie.
I was gonna
different pie here.
I was gonna say that should be a topic of another show. Best piece of pie. But what is the topic for today? Is it about pie?
It could be. It involves sometimes Raspberry Pis. We're talking today about streaming. Tell me I want to talk about streaming. I've been begging you guys to put this on the show. Finally, we're at the point we're putting streaming on there. What does it take to get in there? I believe are we kicking off the topic yet? I think we're gonna kick it off.
Yeah,
but,
I think so. Amy, is there anything else we want to cover? Any pre-cons or anything to get into?
We don't have any pre-cons this time. So our event is we're running in conjunction with there's a Pure Storage event in Microsoft the day before. So that's open to our customers, and so if you don't have any information about that, we can definitely get you some information on that. But this event's been it's been a quickly planned event. I mean, maybe across 3 months.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Really
I know a lot of
fast.
times. Yeah, I was going to say that takes about a year to put together sometimes, or at least 6 to 8 months. That's incredible. Well, and so that Pure Storage event, that's that's part of the event that I think Bob Ward and Buck Woody will also be speaking at. So it's almost better than a pre-con because you get it for free, and they can sign up and they can go to that and they can get in. I wish I was in the Dallas area. This just sounds too good to be true.
And I need to ask a question, Amy, that I know people who have organized SQL Saturdays, Data Saturdays before are waiting to ask, especially after they just heard you threw together the event in 3 months. When is your vacation start?
Next week.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Literally next week, we have a vacation planned, and Chris and myself, we are going on vacation next week. So I can be one of those people that, when asked, what are you doing now that Data Saturday Dallas is over? I'm going to Disney World, and I literally am.
Yeah, there we go. Well, and
that is right.
we should get together and have a drink sometime while you're down here.
Yeah,
That'll be fantastic.
Oh,
that would be great. Yeah.
we can have drinks. Oh.
I do love a good drink. All right, Andreas, the floor is yours,
Let's
my
rock
friend.
this. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Streaming analytics for all of you guys out there. How do you get into it? Well, what should I be thinking about? What kind of services do I have within Azure? So streaming is everywhere nowadays. We're seeing this in anomaly detection. We're seeing this in sentiment analysis, weblogs, click streams. Where else do we see this? Geospatial analytics, remote monitoring, predictive maintenance, point of sale data. It's everywhere. Data is in movement, and we want to put our finger into that, that faucet. We open up that stream of water. Our finger is that analytics. That, hey, give me some insight of what's going on. Give me some windowing. I want to analyze that data as close to real time as possible. So what I always tell people, what they need to be thinking about when it comes to getting into real time, I break it up into three sort of pillars. One, you need a landing pad. You need that data to be able to stream in, and you need to ingest it. And what do I have at my disposal within Azure? I have event hubs. I have IoT hubs. But it doesn't mean you couldn't, in some sense, land it in a storage account. You got to think about that. What are the pros and cons between event hubs and IoT hubs? We can talk about that in later shows. We'll get into that. What's the next pillar that I want you guys to think about? I want you to think about your development environment. Your development environment is extremely important. Not only does you can tap into Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is great for letting me look at event hubs, look at the data that's landing on IoT Hub, actually create telemetry streams. That is one of the biggest tool sets or most important tool sets that you'll have is a telemetry simulator. And there's telemetry simulators out there in GitHub, written in C#, written for Raspberry Pis, a great telemetry simulator to let you push data into the cloud. That's extremely important for you guys to have out there. And the last thing that you want to think about is, well, what service do I need? Do I want flexibility when it comes to coding? Do I want, to be able to easily hook in and sync into event hubs and storage accounts and SQL Server? Do I want to be able to manage maybe Azure Stream Analytics on the edge? There are services within Azure that we make it super easy for you to get those capabilities to link into all the complementary services, easy as pie. For instance, Streaming Analytics, one of those services that let you write T-SQL, let you create an input. That input can come in from an IoT hub, an event hub, and then you can sync and push all that data over to a data lake, to an event hub, to Power BI, to a queue, to Cosmos DB, or even an Azure function. And then we can get even more advanced from that. Maybe you want to have a little bit more control. Well, what do we have for control? If you want a little bit more, want to throw some Python into it, throw some C#, throw some function into it. I have at my disposal Databricks. I have at my disposal the ability to use structured streaming with Databricks and using those real-time streaming with those data frames. Azure Data Explorer. Azure Data Explorer is a great streaming service where I can load in millions and billions of rows and do with that cluster, the power of the cluster behind that, keep all that data that's streaming in, keep it in memory, and tap into it and do real-time analytics off that stream that's in memory. And then last but not least, you could you could go back and keep it simple. You could tap in and use Azure Functions. You could use Azure services and WebJobs. All these services, you keep in the back of your head. You start thinking about ease of use, a little bit of cost. Can I tap into the data creators and where I want to land it? How easy is it to do that? Usually what I tell people to do is start off simple. Start off with an Event Hub and some streaming analytics. Use a T-SQL statement and get some insight into it. Then, if you need a little more power, go to the right. Start throwing Databricks into the mix. Start throwing Azure Data Explorer. And with that, I leave it at the very end to, I think we're going to pass it off to Josh. You guys are about to, I want you guys to wow me because remember, I'm the host. Points, points, points. If there's one last thing I want you to leave you with before I push it off is if you want control, if you want programmability, think Azure Databricks. Think Azure Functions. If you want ease of use, think streaming analytics. Josh, what do you got for me?
Well, you went through a lot there. I think for me, and when I hear about streaming as a topic, I go back to in memory, for me, remembering how I tried to get my mind as a developer, as a data engineer, as an architect, whatever, wrapped around how do I do it and why do I do it, right? And so when I started looking at why, instead of, because at that point I was in consulting, so I was dealing with everybody else's problems, not my own problems, which is the bane and great thing about consulting. Yeah, starting with the why, exactly. So for me, I brought it home, and I started with the why at home. And so I started building using chips similar to this, which I happen to have on my desk. It's funny.
Ooh.
I realized we were going to have this conversation today, but this is an ESP32 and then a basic temperature and barometric pressure sensor, and started creating chips and putting them and writing the code for them in C++ to actually put temperature and barometric pressure monitoring around my house. So there's a few different rooms, and I use the Home Assistant system, which is it's kind of like Apple HomeKit, but it's open source. And so I use that as an entrance in. I said, what kind of problems can I solve, in my home, and then basically threw myself into that. So there's some home automation I have going on. I have some chips around. I'm looked back and forth about how you would do like your own doorbell cam. And I think I have some good, I have a 3D printer now, because once you start getting into this from a home automation standpoint, it becomes like a hole that you can really fall and get lost into. So one of the things I'm looking at is a doorbell cam to go over my doorbell that streams into me, because, not wanting those pictures and that video feed to go to other companies and them have access to my data. That just wasn't, that's the data guy in me. I was like, no, you don't get my data. I get my data. But really for me, it was just immersing myself in the technology and figuring out what problems I could fix for me. But honestly, these temperature sensor things, you figure these two, I think, cost me, and honestly, with a USB to plug it into my machine to flash code into it and an extra cord, I think I spent $20. It's not that hard to get into it once you get started. You buy a sensor, you buy some chips. You can look at Adafruit's website. I'll make sure to put that in the comments after today's episode. But, find a why for you, and that for me, that helps drive me to learn the technology a little bit more. Obviously, with community and Amy's here, there's also the option, to go of, I want to speak on the topic, so I'm going to immerse myself in it to learn it so I can speak on it. That's another great avenue. But for me, it's giving me a why, giving me a problem to solve, and then building something to solve it. So,
Josh, at the risk of helping you, you've got this unbelievable cool thing that you do that has almost tempted me to build it before. Tell them about the light setup that you've got for when you're in Teams meetings.
So, yeah, I'm not going to open my door, and I don't have it handy. But in my house, I have what's called a Raspberry Pi Zero, and then I have a hat light on top of it. And tied into my Stream Deck, I have buttons. So in my Pi Zero, it's basically a web API. So I can make API calls, curl commands in Linux, whatever you want to do, and I can change the color of the light, with a push of a button. I thought about tying it into my Teams, and I could do that with some, with an app service and stuff like that. But for me, I wanted more control over it because a lot of times my calendar looks busy and it's intentional. It's not for my kids to know or my wife to know. It's for other people to think I'm busy so that I can actually do actual work and not have a meeting. So I control the light for my kids, and we have a whole, light system. Green, dad's on the phone, but you can come in. I'm just listening in. Yellow means I'm not on camera, but I may end up speaking. And red means don't open the door. Dad's on camera. Dad's doing this show, whatever it is. But there's a whole system, and I control it from the keypad. And literally it was writing code, buying that sensor. I can't remember how much it cost me. I bought it a while ago. But yeah, it's just a neat thing you can do. Again, with some of those different devices, I've thought about putting a temperature sensor out there so I know how bad the temperature difference is in the rest of the house versus my office, because I have way too much technology in here, which makes it usually about 5 to 10 degrees warmer in my office than the rest of the house. Yeah. I've actually gotten used to it. I get cold when I go out in the rest of the house. It's quite funny. But yeah, that for me, neat stuff like that, immersing yourself in, again, for me to solve a problem, that's the winner. That's what I do.
I love it.
That's a nice
Josh,
one. Yeah.
I award you 50 points for being my Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. 50 points. And remember, I don't dish out points like Bradley. He just gives them out willy-nilly. Like
I do. I give them out like they're going out of style. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you're so much more conservative, and I appreciate that. Plus, your beard looks great today, Andreas.
I love it. Raj, what do you got for me, bud?
So once you figure out why, there are lots of things that in Azure we offer it out, and some of them, Andreas, you covered it up, right? There are following data sources that can do the core requirement of the real-time streaming. One is Stream Analytics, as you said, SD Insights with Spark streaming, SD Insight with Storm that you can do it, Apache Spark and Databricks that you can do it, Azure Functions, as you mentioned, Azure App Services, web jobs that you can do it, Kafka streams with APIs, Synapse Analytics. There are multiple things that you can do it. And once you stream your data, get into a real form, you can also do it, like do a visualization on it. Power BI just started offering you real-time streaming in Power BI. So you can push data set in Power BI, get real-time analysis, what you're trying to do, or you can do a streaming data set, or you can do a PubNub data set in Power BI. So there are multiple ways to visualize the real-time analytics also. And that is something that we as Azure offer you out to do all this work that can give you the insights of it.
Oof, that's beautiful, man.
The wisdom of Niraj can't be. It's
Wikipedia in human form. It is
so true.
Okay.
So true.
Do I get points?
I award you 45 points, Niraj. You're not tinkering, my friend. You got to get out there and tinker. That's what Josh, beats you out. Bradley, what do you got for me, bud?
Look, man, I got to follow Niraj. I'm just trying to pull myself together right now. If I think about this from streaming, I'm going to talk about. I don't use this as practically as Josh, but my favorite streaming thing that I do is so I love the movies. I love going to the movies. I love watching movies. And often at my house, like one day y'all are going to be in town. I can't wait for it. When a big movie comes out, next big one I think is Black Adam, starring The Rock. And then it's going to be Wakanda Forever after that. Can't wait for that. I will buy tickets at the local theater. There's theater like a mile from my house. And we will pregame here. Everybody comes over. I'm the bartender. I mix stuff up. We go and we see a movie. But I love these movies so much. And I couldn't help but wonder. I took my son years ago to go see Spider-Man Homecoming. And I thought this is just such a great movie. And I was watching tons of people comment on Twitter. And I went, I really wonder how social media sentiment analysis correlates with, box office movie performance. And so I went out and I used a Logic app. And I took a Logic app. I took the Twitter API associated with it. I took one of the sentiment analysis algorithms that we have for cognitive services. I plugged that in. And what I did was I set up a collection, and I would do it a couple days before, and I would go through the premiere weekend. So I could look at that Twitter sentiment, score it, and then look at the box office performance and see if I could draw correlations. And I over time, I collected a lot of different movies. I created a web API to be able to scrape it directly from Twitter. I still use the Logic app. I would cross compare to be able to look at the volume that I could get. And the biggest correlation that I drew from this, and again, this was so easy when I put this together, and you can ask Ludeman, when I was programming it myself using Python to be able to scrape all this stuff, it took me like 4 or 5 months. When I used a Logic app to do this, I had it done within like 30 minutes. It was absolutely amazing to me.
Well, you learned a lot of Python doing it the hard way.
I did. Oh, it was super valuable. And I'm super thankful that I did all of that to be able to learn it. But one of the coolest things that I found is that volume of tweets indicate box office performance. And that positive sentiment doesn't have anything to do with it. Negative sentiment actually can impact or can dictate that future performance of series aren't going to be quite as good. For example, Star Wars, when they came out with the newest trilogy, the second movie by Rainn Wilson was the movie with the highest negative sentiment, like 45% negative sentiment of all the volumes of tweets coming out of that movie. And what happened, the next Star Wars movie that came out was Han Solo. And it tanked so bad, they rethought their strategy. They stopped releasing things in theaters and they started streaming on Disney+. Now, honestly, kind of thankful for that because the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was supposed to be a movie. Instead, we got like 6 hours of content. So I love grabbing streaming data sources like that. And again, Logic apps, cognitive services, plugging that in, scoring that data, landing in SQL. It was all so convenient. That would be my streaming thing.
Oh, man. Amy, help me out with this one. What do you think? You're scoring this one.
Do you have anything too?
Yeah.
I really haven't done any tinkering. Right now it's everything is Data Saturday Dallas. So just trying to get through this week. But I was wondering about Josh's though, you know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Amy?
We lost
and
her.
he doesn't
Oh,
care,
we lost Amy.
you know, about a light or something.
Are you there, Amy?
He
Try
doesn't
again
care
because
about
you broke
what
up during
what
your
color a
question.
light is. Do what?
You broke up during your question. Try again.
So what do you do about animals? Because my cat tries to open the door to my office, and
the lights don't work with cats. The lights don't.
He keeps the cat in the room only.
It's like a production light. It just shines, and I have it hanging up high enough that it just shines to tell my family whether or not it's a good time to come in. So yeah, no, it's too high for them to mess with because there's nothing that they can kind of launch off of to get to it. Luckily, but yeah, it's the pets don't mind it that much. Yeah, that is one problem. I'm actually surprised. The last couple streams we've had, the last couple episodes, one of my cats has been at the door and he'll sit there and yell because he wants to come sun himself in the window behind my screen, and he'll just sit out there and trying to get in.
Yeah, well, I had to put a lock on the door, a little latch, so I can lock it, you know, when I want him not to come in at all. But yeah, I have a cat that tries to open the door and will cry and beg, and I don't know that a light would, you know, have an impact on him, but I don't know.
Definitely.
Well, hey, you guys noodle out the points.
Good.
Hey, there are a few questions in the chat. Andreas, one particular is the security part. If you want to cover it right now, or you want to cover it later on.
Well, we can. I saw that one in the chat. Danu, great to have your input in your question there. In terms of security, if it's going over the line, while it's in transit, HTTPS, we have different protocols. Whether you're using, depends on the protocol you're using. Your AMQP has different security, MQTT. So we got to look at you'll look at those. Once it gets into the cloud and connecting to the landing pad, your IoT hub, your event hub, you're going to need a key or an access control policy to get on it. Then that message probably gets rerouted to SQL. Well, you got SQL or Cosmos DB, and they have their own layers of security. If it's a blob storage and I'm simply just landing there, well, landing it, the access control models for blob storage. We can talk a little bit about that in future shows, but think about your protocol. Think about the individual access rights or access policies that get on a service. And that's, you break it up that way. And back to Bradley's points, we have Amy. What do you think? I think I'm going to give him a 36 for being one. Yeah, 36. It was still a little light for me. I do like sentiment analysis, but like I told Raj, you got to start tinkering, my friend, a little bit more.
All right, that's fair.
I'm going to tap into my Top Gun moment. I can't believe I'm doing this. I really can't. I'm about to give you your dream shot. Okay. Niraj was number one. Brad was number two. Josh, they lost the edge. You're now number one. You're the winner.
Wow. Hey,
they lost the edge.
All right.
Did you bribe him? Josh, did you bribe him? It looks like you bribed him.
I feel like there's something going on, Raj.
Yeah.
You and I are going to have to get together on this. Well, thank you to Amy for joining us. I guess we should go over to our wrap up real quick. So we've got a couple things coming up. Again, the Data Platform Summit going on live. Remember to go out there and sign up for the Data Platform Summit. On this Friday, Karthik Yella, one of our colleagues in Fast Track, Josh Ludeman, myself, we're all going to be doing a Data Grunkle, migrating to Azure customer experiences and best practices, where we will interact with you and we will present on these concepts. It's going to be big, broad concepts, but there's a lot of things to cover, and we want to make sure that people get access to this. Data Saturday Dallas, Daniel Taylor, our good friend Daniel Taylor, going to be joining us live for the community roundup on Thursday. He's going to be presenting at Dallas. You want to pass up your database, migrating to Azure. And then the week after that, it's going to be Data Saturday Atlanta. Myself, Daniel Taylor are going to be there. Dan will be doing his session again. I'm going to be doing indexing internals for DBAs. And then SQL Saturday Orlando coming up the week after that. We've got Andreas Padilla. Andreas, tell us about your session, streaming analytics with Azure, developing best practices and newest.
More of this stuff, you guys. More of this.
Oh, yeah.
Have this. Okay.
That's the ticket right there.
Yeah, that's the hot ticket right there. So I'll see you in Orlando.
And I don't want to forget Live 360. Remember, that's going to be our big event. We're going to be there. We're going to be live, and it's going to be me, Josh Ludeman, Buck Woody. We're doing our hands-on ground to cloud for SQL Server. Go to aka.ms/live360. You'll be able to see all about the pre-con that we have, the hands-on lab on that Sunday. Go there, and you'll also be able to sign up for the event. And last week we were talking about me getting Josh a sparkly hat. Well, this past week I was at Disneyland, California. I went to the Mad Hatter location in Disneyland itself. And Josh, I got your new hat.
Wow. Today is Josh's lucky day.
Look at this beautiful.
He becomes a winner and gets a prize.
I had to wear this
that during the presentation. I would give you
from California back. Josh has got his hat. And then let's see. Don't forget, we've got Microsoft Ignite. It is free, and you want to sign up for it. And we're going to have the consulting one-on-ones there. There's a good chance you could end up interacting with any one of us or a great member of our team as well. Special guest joining us next Tuesday. We have Ree Merritt and Hope Foley. Ree is going to talk to us about the Azure Data Community. She's going to talk to us about Data Saturday Atlanta. Hope is going to talk to us about different programs that she and her CSA team are running for customers in the educational field. And we're going to find out what Josh's subject is. And what's that? In 2 days, that's right. In 2 days, we have our roundtable.
Yep. 2 days we have the roundtable, but I'm more concerned with 2 guests. Really?
Oh, 2 guests? Oh, yeah, 2 guests. And look, incredible guest, deserving in and of themselves, their own episode to be able to, you know what? Why are we even going to be there? We should just turn it over to them.
So I'm not surprised, in as it should be, twice as many guests for the powerful topic I'm going to bring to the table next week. It's deserving of my greatness. I'm ready for it.
I'm excited for this. I am very excited for the topic. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, anything else we need to cover?
I won. Is there anything else really to cover?
Oh, roundtable. We are going to have Daniel Taylor this time.
That's right. Daniel Taylor, our good friend. He's going to be there.
Yep.
Well, I think that's it for the show. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody in our live audience. And when you're watching this recording, we will see you on Thursday.